Okay, so well done with everybody's efforts on Dr. Frost the last few days. I think that's going to be a really good tool, but I thought today we would just go back to doing a standard Hegarty lesson because the topic I wanted to revise really lent itself to that. So when you're never going to get a question that's just about significant figures or just about how many decimal places you have to round a number to, but it is ever so important because in your GCSE each paper will have about, I don't know, 25 questions say, and probably 6 or 7 of them will involve you right at the end of all your workings. You have to go and round your answer to 2 significant figures or 1 decimal place, and there'll be a mark going for it. So in a way, these sort of rounding topics are ever so important because they just crop up everywhere. So today we're going to be revising what significant figures are all about. And your subsequent homework will be Hegarty 130, please. So what is significant figures all about? That is how many numbers you are allowed to include in your answer apart from zeros. Okay, zeros are free. Okay, so let's go and say when Old Trafford is full. Obviously it's not at the moment, so it's going to have about 300 people in it, but when Manchester United's football ground is full, say it has a capacity of 71,234. Now that is an exact number, but you really often in real life you just need to be able to give an approximate answer. So if the question said round that to one significant figure, then you're only allowed to have one number that is not a naught. So to one significant figure, and I'm just going to use SF as a shorthand. So one significant figure, that's going to be 70,000. Okay, just got the one number that's not a naught. If we were doing it to 2 significant figures, then that would be 71,000. 2 figures that aren't naught, and so on. Now, that's all easy enough. But then you've just got to take into account roundings. So let's say we had, rounding up I should say, so let's say we had 76,521. Now to one significant figure, we're only allowed one number that is not a 0. So we're tempted to go for a 7, but you do need to look at the next number and see if you have to round it up or not. Because the next number is 5 and above, we do indeed have to round this 7 up to 8. So to one significant figure, 76,521 would be 80,000 people. And that makes sense because clearly that's more than 75,000. So it's nearer to 80,000 than 70,000. Now, what about this number here to 2 significant figures? So there's the first. This will be our second number, but do we stick with a 6 or round it up? We have to look to the third number. That is 5 or above, so this 6 does indeed get rounded up. So to 2 significant figures, that capacity crowd would be 77,000. So just make sure for every single one, before you go and click enter on Hegarty, that if it's one significant figure, you've only got one number that's not a naught, 2 significant figures, 2 numbers that are not naughts. So what I thought I would do, I will just go through a sample of the questions that are in Hegarty 130. So this is an example of question 3. So to 2 significant figures, we're only allowed 2 numbers that are not naughts. So these numbers are all fine, these naughts are all fine. There's the first. I'm going to have one more. Now, do I stick with that 6 or do I round it up? I round it up because that 9 is 5 or above. So to 2 significant figures, this would be 0.027. So we've got 2 numbers that are not zeros because it's 2 significant figures. Let's have a look at another one. Well, several here. So I'm going to do all of these to one significant figure. So why don't you just see, I'll just pause a second, if in your head you can see what it's going to be. 3.7 would be 4. Don't need to do 4.0. Don't do 4.0. It would just be 4. The second one-to-one significant figure, that's going to be 0.006. We do need these zeros to get the 6 in the appropriate column, but one significant figure, one number that's not a 0. Now, two significant figures. There's my first, there's my second. Do I round that second one up? Yes, I do, because that is a 9. So it's going to be 0.027. What do you think this is going to be to two significant figures? 338 people go and watch a game of football. What's that to two significant figures? Only two numbers that are not zeros. So that's going to be 340. Okay, there's our first, there's our second. Do we round it up? Yes, we do. But we need the 0 to get the 3 and the 4 into the appropriate column. Okay, you couldn't say that 34 is roughly 338, could you? So we've got to have that 0. Now, 283.1 to 3 significant figures is just 283. We don't need to put 0.0. Okay, and then just a few more. What would these be to 3 significant figures? So 827. What do you think? 0.416. Do make sure you put in the 0 point to start off with. One significant figure. What do you think? 0.04. One significant figure. Well, that's just 20. Okay, 23.05, when you just allowed one number that is not a 0, is 20. And 804.4, only one non-zero figure allowed. That's going to be 800. So I hope that's enough revision for you. We did spend a few lessons on this earlier in the year. So if you could all go and do Hegarty 130 now, I will keep an eye on your marks and transfer them across to Teams and give you some feedback. And obviously I'm here on Teams to help you if you get stuck. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in live. Off you go and do the work. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.